All right, guys. So last night there was an announcement with Robert Brooks Jr., the son of Robert Brooks, and Robert Brooks' brother. There's a civil lawsuit being filed against New York. Okay. Now it's been well over a month. Still, no murder charges have been brought to the correction officers that beat Robert Brooks to death. Had to do some research and look back to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And man, we could compare this to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. This is why I believe Jesus was black. Only black people endured the pain of slavery, lashes, being whipped, beaten, hung from trees, um, but limbs chopped off. Yes, hands being chopped off. Man, look into Leonard King Leopold, King Leopold or King Leonard Leopold. Man, but he pretty much had Africans making rubber for tires at the time. And if they didn't do it, he would chop their hands off, man. But yeah, only black people endured this type of stuff. And in my 34 years of living, this is the first time I've seen an actual black person be beaten to death by white people on camera and nothing be done. The same way the Romans tortured Jesus, beat Jesus, and people stood around and watched is the same way those correction officers stood around and watched. The Romans did not kill Jesus. Jesus sacrificed his life. He died for our sins. He gave up his own life because God gave him the power to do so. The Romans did not kill Jesus. The Romans usually would kill people during a crucifixion by breaking their legs so they can't lift their body up to breathe while they're on that cross. Or they would stab them in their right side with the spear piercing their heart. They even pierced Jesus' heart after realizing he was dead already. Anyways, blood and water came out. They realized he was dead. No, the Romans did not kill Jesus Christ. They did not kill him. Again, he gave up his life for us. Robert Brooks, they are saying, did not die immediately after the beating. They say he died uh, um, due to asphyxiation. They're pretty much trying to say the beating did not cause his death, but we know it did. He suffered. We know he suffered in his cell before he passed away, just like Jesus suffered up there on that cross. And I believe God took Robert Brooks because it was his time to go. And Robert Brooks is in heaven because I believe Robert Brooks repented before he went. For sure, for sure. He definitely did. Jesus was definitely black. Jesus was definitely black. 100%, man. You know, white people see us black people as we could take more pain. That's why when a black woman is giving birth in the hospital, they don't give her as much medication as they would a white person, if any at all. They say, oh, black people can handle it. Black women can handle it. They can handle more pain. We're tough as nails in their eyes, right? Right? Justice has already been served for Robert Brooks, man, because of the wrath of God. There is no karma. There is no punishment worse than God's punishment, worse than God's wrath. No court system can punish worse than God. I don't care how many years they give you. I don't care if they give you the death penalty. I don't care if you get beaten, if you get sexually assaulted every day in prison. It does not amount up to God's wrath because there is a such thing as a guilty conscience. There is a such thing as nightmares. There is a such thing as paranoia. Trust me, these correction officers are going through all of it. They are not sleeping well at night. They are paranoid. They are looking over their shoulder everywhere they go. They know their time is coming. Trust me, they weren't praying to God before, but they are praying to God now. They are praying to God that the nightmares stop, that the paranoia stops, that God forgives them, that they can still make it into heaven. They're probably even paying for Robert Brooks' family. You know they are, because they know their time is coming. They know their time is coming. You could see the hurt and pain in Robert Brooks Jr. eyes when he spoke about his father, man, how hurt he was. The way he spoke about his father is the way Jesus spoke about God. Nothing bad to say. He was a good person. He wanted to come out and write children's stories, children's books. He wanted to help the community, do better for the community. People loved him. He had family who loved and cared about him. The only difference between Jesus and Robert Brooks is Jesus was perfect. Jesus was not a man of sin. Robert Brooks was a man of sin. That's what landed him in prison in the first place. But Jesus died for our sins. And Robert Brooks received his sentence of 12 years. He was not given a death sentence. It is what it is, man. We need laws to keep people in line. But no judge should be able to hand down a death sentence to any man. That is God's job. That is God's choice, God's decision. But it is what it is, man. Those correction officers gave Robert Brooks a death sentence. They messed with a child of God. They took a child of God out of here. You can't do that. God will punish you. You will feel God's wrath for doing so. Any man on this earth that has touched one of God's children and take him up out of here will live in eternal pain, eternal torture, mentally and emotionally, until you get up out of here, man. And you already know where you're going. You're not going to heaven. You're not going to heaven. Robert Brooks' younger brother was also there. He said he always looked up to Robert Brooks. He always looked up to him. Always wanted to be like him, talk like him, walk like him. They both also said that Robert Brooks cared about other people around him, wanted other people to be happy and in good spirits, cared about others more than himself, the same way Jesus would. Robert Brooks Jr. also said that his father, Robert Brooks, wouldn't have told him if there was something going wrong, if he was dealing with beatings from correctional officers or had problems in there, because he wouldn't want his son to worry about him. Isn't that the same thing Jesus would want? He wouldn't want God to worry. Jesus didn't want God worrying. Shout out to the Long Island auditor, man. This is the video I have right here. The Long Island auditor went up to this Marcy's correction and he confronted some of the correction officers that are still working here at this jail, man. Disgusting, man. No accountability whatsoever. It came to a point towards the end of the video, they threatened to arrest this man for trespassing, but they didn't want to arrest the officers. They still don't want to arrest the officers that beat Robert Brooks to death. Those officers are sitting at home with their feet kicked up at the end of the day. They got to say Merry Christmas to their family and Happy New Year's to their friends and family. Robert Brooks did not get to do that. Shout out to the Long Island auditor, man. Jesus was 100% black. Jesus was black, man. Only black people endure the type of stuff that we have seen and heard over the years. The lashes that they dealt with back in slavery days from the slave masters. All types of beatings, man. This is the first time in my 34 years of living I've seen a black person get beat to death on camera and nothing be done about it. Nothing be done about it. See how high police officials and officers are held? They're held to such a higher standard. I'm at the point where I feel like correction officers are held at a higher standard than regular police officers, day-to-day police officers that are out about in the streets, risking their lives, dealing with men who have potential guns that could shoot them. It's totally different. You're behind those walls as a correction officer. Those inmates don't have guns. They may have knives and handheld weapons, but they don't have guns. They can't shoot you. We've seen police officers be brought to justice on the streets a lot faster for taking it too far during an arrest. Not even murdering an innocent person of the community. Just beating them. We've seen them be in court faster. We have an actual, this is similar to a lynching. We have an actual lynching. We have an actual murder that we've seen on camera. And these correction officers have not been in the courts yet to face any judge. That just shows you how high these correctional officers are held in the American justice system. And it's disgusting. These correctional officers are held as high as the Romans were held when they did what they did to Jesus, because the Romans were allowed to do that. Nobody stopped them. Nobody stopped the Romans when they did that, when they were beating Jesus, when they made him carry that cross, when they nailed him to the cross. Nobody stopped him. How come nobody stood out there and risked their lives and says, no, if you got to kill him, you got to kill me too? Then the second person say, no, yeah, you got to kill me too. Then the fourth, then the fifth, then the sixth, then the seventh. All the people that were there watching, all the bystanders. How come all the bystanders didn't say, if you want to kill Jesus Christ, you got to kill me too? Why did they not say that? They just stood there and watched in sorrow. Some stood in sorrow. Some stood in happiness. Why? Because we can compare to this situation. All those officers stood around, some of them in sorrow. You know, some of them shook their head and couldn't believe what was going on, but didn't want to say anything. Didn't want to risk getting blackballed or losing their job or getting singled out. And you know, others was sitting there laughing, enjoying it. Either way, they didn't stop it. That's why I'm comparing this. I'm comparing what happened to Robert Brooks to what happened to Jesus Christ. Yes, I am comparing it. And that's why I said Jesus Christ was black. Yes, because people stood around and watched and did nothing. And there was no justice. Just like there is no justice now. But again, God's wrath has already been given to these men. Let's watch a little bit of this, man. We're gonna skim through it a little bit.
What happened to Robert Brooks? Does that happen to a lot of inmates here, sir?
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you.
I have business here. You can call the state police all you want, sir. You can call them all you want.
Another day, another set of law enforcement officers who do not understand constitutional rights.
Are you guys part of the beatdown squad? Who beats a man with his hands cuffed behind his back?
Look at this. Nothing to say.
Beating of a man is funny. Please leave the area. The New York State Police will be called. Call the state police. I'm not breaking any laws.
This confrontation came outside the Marcy Correctional Facility in Marcy, New York. Last month, officers here beat an inmate, Robert Brooks, who died the next day.
The footage, blurred and redacted by state authorities, shows officers repeatedly kicking and punching Brooks in the legs and chest and trying to jam an object down his throat.
Is that what you do?
On camera. Again, we have this on camera, and these dudes are still at home.
You want to answer any questions? Excuse me. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video.
Long Island Audit, Sean Paul Reyes, one of the most successful constitutional auditors in America, starts by explaining to viewers the purpose of this visit.
Peacefully exercise our First Amendment right to film in public and publicly accessible areas, to promote transparency and accountability within our government, and to ensure that our public servants recognize our rights and treat us with respect.
And within seconds, he's interrupted.
Tyrants.
Who are you?
Yelling, telling him not to film already.
Get through my intro there, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's speed through, man. Let's speed through a little bit of this.
Restricted.
I have business here. You can call the state police all you want, sir. You can call them all you want. They should be here arresting people who are beating inmates.
Sir.
You are beating inmates to death.
Sir.
Callously and with malice. With no type of...
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Sir, I'm not breaking... You can call the state police...
Like, and these dudes left are disgusting. How could you still work for a place that treated a human being like he was less than? Treated him like a piece of garbage, like a rag doll. How could you still work for a place that did this? How could you? And not for nothing, you know these dudes in this video, these dudes have wives, girlfriends. They're disgusting too. How could you be with a man that works for a place like this? Sick.
I'm not breaking any laws.
You are not allowed to record on state property.
I am recording officials in the course of their
And it
duty.
says right here, no cell phones beyond this point.
Right.
So
I am engaged in a constitutionally and
It's sad that these correctional officers do not know the law. Bringing up policy. You're talking about a policy. Policy is not law at the end of the day. So, and that's why I don't like people when people comment and say, why are you recording people? Why are you filming? Because you're in public. Anything, anywhere you, even if it's inside a building, if it is within your public view, if you can see it, you can record it. Now, you're not supposed to go behind a wall if there's a wall up, or behind a certain door where, you know what I'm saying, things are private. If you have to go through a door that you're not supposed to access to, that's different. But anything I can see within public space where I can be allowed as a public person and view with my own eyes, I can record.
Statutorily protected activity. New York State rights. Are you familiar with the New York State Right to Monitor Act?
And it has to say against the law. It has to say against the law. I see the sign that says no cell phones beyond this point. That's not a law. That's your policy. I do not have to abide by your policy.
I have a right to film you in the course of your duty as a public servant.
I'm gonna ask you to leave.
And look how you're holding the door open like who do you think you are?
With the state law. Soon, more officers from the Marcy facility arrived.
I've asked him.
Mr. Clean pops up, worried about his pants and his shoes. You see this? You see how he looked down, fixing his pants? This man more worried about his pants and his shoes than lives. Your response, listen, at the end of the day, I know these are inmates, right? I know these are inmates. I know they've done some of the most heinous crimes, but it is a correctional officer's job to protect these inmates. Make sure that they're fed. Make sure they are not being abused or abusing themselves. Make sure they are taking showers. Make sure they are getting their rec time, and if they have rec time, make sure they are able to get their visits, and somebody's there to visit them. It's almost like babysitting. You are literally supposed to babysit these men respectfully. You supposed, hey, how's your day going? All right, okay, good. That's how you're supposed to be as a correction officer. And I know you may say, oh no, you're dealing with killers, you're dealing with murderers, you can't be too nice because these dudes will set you up. You apply for that job. Your job is to protect these inmates, plain and simple. I don't want to hear, oh, they're murderers. You signed up for it. Treat them with respect. Whoever they assaulted or murdered, that's not you. That's that person. Do not compare yourself to the victim of that person. You are there to do a job. And I guarantee if you treat them with respect, they will respect you more. I'm not saying be a pushover as a correction officer, try to be friendly, buddy. But you can say good morning, you can say good afternoon, you can make sure they get their rec time and their food and everything they need, ask them if they're doing okay. Because that's your job, that's what you're getting paid to do. You are not getting paid to serve inmates a death sentence or to assault inmates.
Yeah, so Clay, go grab that paper.
Go grab the paper.
And statutory right. And statutory right. New York State Right to Monitor Act.
One officer goes and retrieves a memo and then has the junior officer read it to Reyes
Yeah, because they don't know the law, they don't know their own rules.
out loud.
And this dude can't even read right. Look at him. You got a gargoyle standing next to Mr. Clean. Look like a gargoyle, Mr. Clean, for real.
Who's the superintendent here?
Please leave the area. The New York State Police will be called if you refuse to leave the area. Videotaping and photographing a New York State docks facility property without the consent of the superintendent or commissioner is prohibited by docks policy. If you would like to request permission to take photos or video,
Why would I request permission when it's my constitutional and statutory
you
right?
may contact the superintendent or commissioner of this property.
Who's the superintendent?
While publicly owned, is a non-public forum which is not traditionally recognized.
He can't read, man. Just disgusting. We're gonna move a little forward. Yeah. Mr. Clean again. Mr. Clean 2.0. All these bald head dudes, man.
There's a beatdown squad here, right? What, they beat down Robert Brooks with his hands cuffed behind his back? That happened here, correct? I mean, it's on video.
What do you mean you don't know? This man is literally looking at him and shrugging his shoulders as if he doesn't know anything. See how disgusting these people are? Evil. They're the Romans. These people are just like the Romans. They're definitely from Roman descent. For sure, for sure.
Right. So I'm just asking, are you part of that squad?
Never heard such a squad.
You never heard of such a squad?
No, sir.
It's not a unit that you know.
How can you look somebody directly in their eyes as a man and tell a bold-faced lie? You know you're being recorded. You know this is gonna be public. Everybody's gonna be able to, a lot of people are gonna be able to watch this. Not everybody, because there's a lot of racist people out here who don't care, who are only worried about the next Jordans coming out, the next sneaker release, the next hottest celebrity gossip. I'm more than sneakers, man. You see that on this channel. I'm more than sneakers, man. Life is more than sneakers. Life is about life and lives.
No, sir. How do you feel about that incident? Do you condemn it? Do you condemn the beating and the unaliving of Robert Brooks with his hands cuffed behind his back?
No.
I think that's a pretty simple question. I think anybody should condemn that, unless you're part of that type of mentality. And that's what you do.
He can't even say I'm not type. He can't even say no. I can't speak on the matter. But no, I don't. I'm not type of that type of mentality. He can't even say that. He can't even say I would never do that, because he would. Disgusting.
Condemn it. Okay. Don't condemn it. Your silence speaks volumes.
Yes, it does.
Do you condemn it, Sergeant? Can any of you?
On top of refusing to condemn the beating of Robert Brooks,
See, these men don't want to say nothing because one, they're evil. You could say you could kind of guys say either because they're evil and they're for it, or they don't want to lose their jobs. Either way, it's wrong because the men who actually committed this heinous act, most of them are still paid. I don't care what they say that, oh, they're suspended without pay. Bull crap. That's what they tell us. We know how it goes. Even officers who murder innocent citizens out on the streets, they get suspended with pay. So stop.
the officers also refused to accept a formal request for public information about the prison.
I have a FOIL request right here, if you want to take it. This is a FOIL request for some documents for this facility here.
So you can request a FOIA request at pretty much any police department, police station, or like a community building, like where maybe like the mayor, the governor would be, and hold certain meetings and certain events. Um, where they have any public records for that certain town. And here he's at a correctional center office, whatever you want to call it. But pretty much what the FOIA request does is it shows certain documents that are open to the public, and you could find a lot of inconsistencies in these documents. You can compare and contrast to how other town states are running, and pretty much you can hold people accountable, man. You can see the wrong that they're doing, because a lot of it, again, is public records, but a lot of the public people don't care to investigate. There are a lot of mishaps. There are a lot of there's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of evidence for innocent people that have been convicted, and there's a lot of cover-ups. There are a lot of cover-ups that are actual public records, and you could get all this stuff with a FOIA request. And then you may think and say, well, that's a prosecutor's job. Listen, prosecutors, a lot of them are overwhelmed, man. They can't catch everything, especially when it comes to police officers and court officials and and state officials. They're very less likely to investigate, let alone prosecute these people. So that's why I respect auditors, man, because auditors go out their way, to make sure that things are ran right, safely, and fairly for the public people, for the American people as well.
You're not gonna take it? You have to by law. It's a FOIA request. I'm just trying to submit it with the facility. Some documents that I need.
Minutes later, a state trooper, a good one, arrived.
Man, you mind if I get your name and badge number, sir?
Absolutely. It's Triple Lawrence, 2337.
Hi, Trooper. How are you? My name is Sean.
How you doing?
Shout out to the state trooper, man.
Well, I'm just here. As you know, there was a man that was viciously murdered here.
Yeah.
And I'm here to ask some questions, film the government officials here in the course of their duty,
Sure.
In accordance with the New York State Right to Record Act,
Mhm.
as well as the First Amendment. Just asking questions. I'm not going into restricted areas, but I'm glad that you're here, Trooper, because I know there's like 11 or 12 correctional officers that need to be arrested. I can show you a video where they unalived a man and beat a man. I think you should go arrest them.
It's actually under investigation by BCI right now.
Oh, what's BCI?
The Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
Is that like an arm of like the state police?
How disgusting, man. Why do you need to investigate something that we all saw on video, on footage? Again, man, if this was the other way around, there was a bunch of black people doing this to a white man, there would be no need for investigation. And yes, if there were correctional officers, if there are a bunch of black correctional officers that did this to a white man, there would be no investigation. They will all be facing life in prison, if not the death penalty. I'm telling you this right now.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
This is a racist American country.
Investigation? But what? I mean, didn't we all watch the video of the man getting beaten with his hands behind his back? Handcuffed?
We saw that. It's under investigation right now. You seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, his hands were cuffed behind his back. He was beaten right here in Marcy Correctional Facility. And he died.
He did die.
As a result of those injuries, which is insane to me. I don't know. I just came here to ask questions if they're part of the beatdown.
Look how these dudes are standing. Look at them. Look how they're standing. They are literally standing in a threatening manner. Look at the symmetry. They are used to this. They're used to trying to intimidate people in this manner. This is disgusting. You have a state trooper right here.
They're responsible, right? Yeah, that's all I'm doing, sir. That's all. They read me something. I don't know what it was, but again, I'm very familiar with the New York State Right to Record Act, Right to Monitor Act. Excuse me, Right to Record is the New York City one. Right to Monitor Act. I have a right to film peace officers, security officers, and law enforcement in the course of their duty, and that's all I'm doing. I'm not going to restricted areas.
I have no issue with that.
Okay, great, Trooper. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks, man. Thank
Do you
you.
need any more help?
I don't. I don't need anything else.
Okay.
I'm just asking questions. Take care. Have a good day. Thank you.
A walk of shame.
So you guys would not like to answer any more questions? I mean, you really didn't answer any questions to begin with, but
As the four corrections officers did the walk of shame, another state trooper arrived.
Shout out to the state trooper, man. He's another good one.
Sergeant Nick Leone, Shield 918.
thank you. My name is Sean, sir. I'm an independent journalist.
He gotta be Italian. He looks like my neighbor across the street.
That happened here a couple days ago. I'm not going to restricted areas or anything.
Okay.
I just want to let you know. You're not gonna have any issues with me, sir. I'm just asking questions.
You say Sean?
Yeah, Sean. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Where are you from?
I'm from Long Island, sir. From Long Island, yeah. I'm an independent journalist. That's fine. Yeah. So You don't have probable cause to arrest those officers, the 14 officers that were engaged in that?
I can't comment on that investigation. I'm
All
sorry.
right. I mean, you saw the video, right?
Yes, I did see the video.
You saw the video. Do you condemn that kind of behavior?
I can't comment.
You can't say you condemn that kind of behavior. The governor condemned
I
it.
understand that, and I agree. I don't condone that, but I can't really comment on the.
I just think, sir, I think, sir, that public servants need to come out and call out the other bad ones, so that way, you know, you don't look as bad. None of those correctional officers that came out to speak to me, none of them would condemn it. It's not a controversial topic. It's not.
I understand that.
It's not. You're not part of the investigation.
I'm not a part of the investigation.
Right. So you can. I don't know.
The trooper and Reyes spoke respectfully and pleasantly for nearly 20 minutes.
I mean, I also do trainings with law enforcement. I've done First Amendment auditor trainings, First Amendment trainings with ride-alongs. And no, Ohio and New Jersey.
Really?
I haven't had the opportunity to do it in New York State yet, but
You've been asked to go
it's been really cool to be able to work with them and, you know, bridge the gap between the public, because I'm not anti-law.
Like I said, man, this order's a good man. We're going to skip to the part where they threatened to arrest him. And let's see. I think it's this guy right here.
Before, and
Apologize for the ads, man. Y'all know how YouTube ads are.
the charge has been dropped, but okay.
In fact, Reyes is undefeated 10-0 in beating criminal trespass charges.
See, this is where they want to arrest him for criminal trespass.
The building has to be designed, the property has to be designed in a manner to exclude intruders. Read it. I'm telling you, trooper, I'm not lying to you.
Did you know that a fenced-in backyard, if you were to enter somebody's fenced-in backyard, that is actually the crime of criminal trespass?
Because that would be designed.
You hear this idiot, man? He's talking about a fenced-in backyard, and we're talking about a public place right now. We're talking about a public place, a correctional facility, where people can come and visit their loved ones, can come up and submit FOIA requests, and he's compared it to somebody's house. What an idiot. These officers, a lot of them upstate New York is just straight up idiot, backyardigans. A lot of them probably come from incest, mongoloid families. Cousins sleeping with cousins and shit like that.
Intruders, sir.
Meaning, even if there aren't any locks on the gates?
Right, because it's designed in a manner to exclude intruders, because there's a fence. Gotcha. If it's publicly accessible,
gotcha.
Also take a look at the New York State Right to Monitor Act. There's no exceptions for recording public servants, security officers. It names security officers,
Understood. Did you
law
know
enforcement
you
officers.
enter that facility fully? We actually have to leave unless it's a response to an emergency. We have to leave our cell phones in the vehicle. We are not allowed to record in that.
That's not a law. But that's not a law.
That is under their corrections policy.
Right.
I told you what did I say earlier.
Legal experts say
policy is not a law, man.
Policy is not law. And that distinction has been law.
You have these men that are wearing a badge and do not enforce the law correctly, do not know the law correctly, or act as if they don't know. This is sad and disgusting. These people are responsible with citizens' fate. This person responsible with somebody's life in their hands. Whether they want to pull out their gun and end their life, whether they want to lock them up for something they didn't do, plant drugs on them or something like that, mistreat them, misharm them. This is why you have a lot of people that want to stay in the house that don't go nowhere besides getting food and stuff like that, and maybe going to the gym. This is why.
And countless officers.
All right. This is the best part, man. Let's end this video on a good note, man.
Sean, there you go, Sean.
Have a good day, sir.
So this officer went inside to pretty much tell them you can't arrest him for trespassing. The other cop that we were just watching that was talking to him about a fenced-in house, he was hoping that the outcome would be, we got to take him in, even though the charges would be dropped, because this auditor, as you heard earlier, is 10-0 in fighting against trespass charges against himself. Yeah. No, I don't want to shake your hand. You see how you try to shake his hand? Fake, phony.
Kudos to Long Island.
Oh, man. I will not stop, man, until I see some court justice. Already know God's gotten justice, but I want to see some court justice, man. I will not stop, and you should not stop. From big channels all the way down to small channels like mine, we got to keep our foot on their necks, man. We got to keep the pressure on. I told you there is no change without pressure. No change without pressure, man. I will continue to make videos on Robert Brooks until I see some court justice, man. For real, for real. And we're going to end this. One thing I want to say that really touched me that his son said during that announcement of the civil lawsuit yesterday was he said, we want justice. We want these dudes to face justice, but we are willing, we want it to take time. and make sure that everything is done correctly. They know it is going to take time. Shout out to that young man for having such a good heart, man. For real, for knowing that this stuff takes time and want them to go through the legal way correctly and do the investigation the way it's supposed to be done to make sure these men get charged. It is not as swift as we would like it, but there is an investigation, and that's right now the best we have right now. All right. So yeah, man, create a YouTube channel like I always say if you're a subscriber of mine, and let the first video be talking about Robert Brooks. Hit the like button, share, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, man. I'll catch you next one. Peace and love.